Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our usual Monday get together. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope we've got a lot of stuff to go through. So wherever you're watching this, if it's on Facebook, if it's on YouTube, it's on X, it's on Getter, it's on Rumble, wherever it is. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, and we have got, as I say, a pile of stuff to get through. As is always the way, these things are prepared before we go live. And that means that there's some stories which have been happening even in the last couple of hours, such as, for example, the rape gang inquiry, which has happened in, hi, Joe, James, Chris, hiya, Chris, Northern Monkey, which has been happening down in Westminster. I'll probably cover that tomorrow. Actually, the only thing I'd say about the rape gang inquiry at Westminster is this: I don't like politicians trying to score points over each other as to which of us is the toughest on Pakistani rape gangs. I don't like that. So we'll tackle it tomorrow. And the other thing is that I saw in the past sort of 15, 20 minutes or so, Sir Keir Starmer finally managed to put out a tweet about Henry Novak, the young chap who was stabbed to death and whose killer was convicted of his murder today, or his killing, and sentenced to, I think, 21 years in prison. It's not enough. It's not enough. It should be the death penalty, in my opinion. Yes, Chris. Rupert Lowe gave a really good speech. Although the details are horrific, Chris. If you've seen the actual stuff of some of the stuff that happened to these girls, is just. But I will cover it tomorrow. So those are the two stories that I've not been able to get together for tonight, as they've only just happened pretty recently. But it doesn't matter, because I've got good content for you, really good content. Hi there, Daniel/John. Good to have you with us as well. Let's bring up a photograph of everyone's favorite former politician. Here we go. And yep, there she goes. Look at that. That's the look you make when you realize that you shouldn't listen to Prince Andrew when it comes to giving media interviews. Poor old Nicola Sturgeon. And look at that. It's such a perfect still, that, isn't it? It's that moment where it's like you're walking along the street and you're not paying attention and you step in something you shouldn't have stepped in. That's the look that you make. This is the look that you make when you're trying to convince we nippies trying to convince Laura Kuenssberg. We're going to go through some videos in this in a sec, but she's trying to convince her that actually she's a victim, and there's no way she saw a white camper van that Google Earth could see from space. But she didn't see it. So anyway, we're going to go through the Nicola Sturgeon stuff. I wanted to go through it quite honestly because and I know we cover a lot of stuff here, and most of it is pretty dark, actually. But sometimes there's a story that you just have to laugh. I have to mock. You have to laugh, and which is exactly what I intend to do with regard to wee Nippy, Nicola, Queen of Scots, Queen of all she surveyed. Does it say? Yeah, her husband was really into camping away, apparently. Northern Monkey. I'd heard the stories. Yes, freedom. Yes, she was lied to and misled, so she claims. Now, you have to understand. I want to set this up. So we've got a couple of clips I want to play off the interview she did yesterday with Laura Kuenssberg in the BBC. And to me, this was a soft soap set up by the BBC. But because Sturgeon's story is so ridiculous, it didn't work out. I don't think it worked out at all. I also think there was a serious amount of editing, which I'm going to demonstrate to you in a second. But let's play the first clip of our Nicola with Laura Kuenssberg.
Past no, I didn't. And this is the thing. My mother-in-law, or my mother and father-in-law's house, has a driveway in front of their house where we would park our car, and then we'd go into the house. Where the motorhome was round the side of the house, which is not immediately visible in the way that we went into the house. and it's between their house and the next door neighbour's house. Now, I genuinely don't have any conscious memory of seeing that motorhome. If I saw it, I probably would have assumed it was a neighbour's.
Walked past.
No, there you go. You can see from the video there's no way you could have seen that. I mean, there's absolutely no way she could have seen the vast motorhome parked down the side, hi Harry, of her mother-in-law's house. For 2 years. It was there for 2 years. I mean, I don't know how often she visited her mother-in-law. She sort of indicated it was a few times. Was there a problem? I mean, when my in-laws were alive, I visited them weekly. So it's a bit strange. But so Nicola just couldn't see it. She just couldn't see the motorhome. As you drove in, it's not as if her mother-in-law's was like, South Fork or Buckingham Palace. It was a pretty modest little, bungalow. And the camper van was visible. Nicola, one of the great things about social media is there have been, I've checked some of these over on YouTube. By the way, if you enjoy this, like and subscribe, please, if you can do that. Some people have actually gone and videoed showing that what that little video shows, there's no way in hell that it would be conceivable that you didn't see it unless maybe she kept her eyes closed when she visited. Hi, Tina, by the way. I'll maybe get talking about Trump's latest disaster announcement regarding Iran in a bit. So stick with us. Got to get through some British stuff here first, though. So anyway, that was the first thing. Right, let's see if we can play, Jed, the next clip we have of Nicola letting us know how innocent she is.
For my own sake, but for the sake of people out there, for my own sake, but for the sake of people out there, a lot of women who end up finding themselves blamed for the actions of the men in their lives, I'm not going to contribute to that kind of sense that I am responsible for somebody else's crimes. I will take responsibility for the things I do, the decisions I make. I'm sitting here with you right now answering questions because I believe strongly in that accountability. But I am not responsible for the crimes that my former husband committed, and I'm not going to apologise for somebody else's crimes.
But do you think you bear no responsibility for one of the biggest political scandals that took place on your watch as leader of that party? That's a different thing to saying you're responsible for his crimes.
No, but it's not, because he perpetrated a crime on the SNP. By definition, that included me as the party leader. He misled, he deceived. He's serving and will be serving a sentence for a crime he committed. I'm out here feeling as if I'm serving a sentence for a crime I did not commit.
Oh, she's so innocent. Look, she's the victim. I hope you all realize Nicola is the victim. She is paying for a crime she never committed. Well, see, this is classic deflection you're hearing from Nicola Sturgeon. No one's saying that she committed any crimes. Her husband was the embezzler. He's admitted to it. And in the process of admitting to it, he stopped any criminal trial. And yes, Northern Monkey, I think we've got a picture of, as Nicola was telling us how innocent she was, Jed. Can we bring up the photograph of the lawyer? It's just a photo of Nicola. There we go, folks. Nicola Sturgeon's lawyer, Amir Anwar, was just out of shot as the video was being recorded. Now, that's something if you're totally innocent, you bring your lawyer with you, don't you? She's absolutely done. She's absolutely so innocent. And James Jameson says, Peter copied David hairstyle. James Jameson, that's it. You're banned for life from the social medias of this world. How dare you? Actually, did you see, James, that one of the things that Morel claimed for was, I think, a couple of expensive hair dryers at about £400 or £500 a pop. Did you see that? And he has, yes, I might have more hair than him. I certainly don't have any less hair than him. I don't need hair dryers. They're not featured. If I appeared home, let's put it like this. If I appeared home with a £400 or £500 hair dryer, my wife would have questions for me. Probably asking, have they finally toppled you over into complete unreality? Some of you may say I'm already there, but anyway, yeah. So actually, so she's putting out this thing that she's a victim. Nicola was a victim, and with that in mind, I wanted to play a clip of Joanne Cherry, Jed. If you can dig out her video, she's the woman who doesn't look like Nicola Sturgeon. And
aside, imagine you listened closely to Nicola.
Yep, that's it.
Thank you so much for being with us. Imagine you listened closely to Nicola Sturgeon's interview. Did you have sympathy with what she was saying?
Not really, because I think Nicola was setting up a straw man. She's trying to put in our minds that she's being held guilty for her husband's embezzlement. But what we are actually concerned about is her frustration of legitimate scrutiny of the finances of the party.
But I mean, she wouldn't be the first woman who's been deceived by her husband,
Certainly
in
not,
financial matters.
But I'm not really interested in their marital relationship. I'm interested in the fact that she was the leader of the party and he was the chief executive of the party. She was his boss, and it was her responsibility as leader of the party to make sure that the National Executive Committee was allowed to do its job properly. And I felt her interview was really quite misleading, as she didn't, she seems to me to elide the actual timeline of what happened here. You know, what your listeners and viewers need to understand is that back as early as 2019, many SNP members were raising concerns about what had happened to a ring-fenced referendum fund, which appeared to have disappeared from the party's accounts. And I and about a dozen or so other people were elected by the membership to the National Executive Committee and the Finance and Audit Committee to try and get to the bottom of what had happened to that money. Nobody thought there'd been any embezzlement at that stage, but people were worried that the party's finances were being mismanaged. And what people need to understand is Nicola Sturgeon was absolutely at the centre of closing down our concerns. Yes, we were whistleblowers, we were elected to be whistleblowers, and we were frustrated. And we weren't just frustrated, we were absolutely demonised for daring to ask questions. And many people watching this programme this morning will have seen the video of Nicola telling us all that there was nothing wrong with the finances and that we should be very careful. Those are the words that she used. We should be very careful about asking questions, which many of us found quite threatening at the time.
So yeah, that's Joanne Cherry, basically, given a very clear-sighted interpretation of what you saw from Nicola Sturgeon. I mean, I'm afraid that we Nippy was trying to set up a straw man argument, and I don't think she's going to get away with it. I think the consensus after yesterday was most people were laughing at it, saying, so pathetic, this, Nicola. We don't believe you. We don't believe you. And there was another, I don't have a clip of this to show you, but going back to COVID days, just before Peter Morell's wife, Nicola Sturgeon, announced that people should not go out and panic buy, I think the day before, her husband bought, get this, 108 toilet rolls. 108 toilet rolls. The day before, she said to Scots, don't be panic buying, don't be stockpiling. Meanwhile, Peter's out stockpiling toilet rolls. So thanks, Sarah, by the way, for your very kind words. So, yeah, I mean, the only thing is, and I saw this tweet, you shouldn't, we'll put this one up, made me laugh. I mean, Nicola insists that she's in the clear. Well, that's not quite true, is it? As has been pointed out, the police, when they investigated the case, recommended to the Crown Prosecution Service in Scotland that it should be proceeded against with regard to her, or there should be further investigation. The CPS in Scotland, which of course is completely part of the system, said, no, we don't think so. So her name was not cleared. Just understand that. She repeated several times yesterday, she's been cleared. She wasn't cleared. The CPS chose not to proceed with the case. It's a big difference. But just imagine she was in some regards convicted. There's a really excellent tweet that somebody put up. Jen, I think we have it there. The one with a fact, actually, let me just bring it up. Oh no, that's the wrong one. Why is this doing this? Yeah. If Nicola Sturgeon sent to prison, wouldn't it be lovely karma if she had to share a prison cell with this fella? This fella being the twice convicted rapist who pretends to be Isla Blair, I think it is. Isla Blair, I think is the name. And this actually, if you recall back in 2022, 23, this is what brought down Sturgeon. Not all the financial stuff. It was the fact that the SNP determined, because they were so busy pushing the trans agenda, that biological men like the one you're seeing on screen could be housed with women, even if, as in this case, they were rapists. And so it was that very quickly brought about her political demise, actually. And yes, Chris Davies, this was, can you imagine, that was your political, no, don't want to show that one yet, no. That was the hill that Isla Bryson, thanks Northern Monkey for giving me that. Yeah, it'd be awful if she had to share a prison cell. To be fair, I'd feel a bit bad for Isla Bryson. Would you not? Could you imagine being locked up in a prison cell with Sturgeon insisting that she still totally, no one was more sinned against than her. Yes, it's ma'am. So, Jed, do you want to go into this one? Quick comment. You've heard some of that stuff. I mean, you may have seen or not some of the comments from Sturgeon. Her innocence. Let me ask you, do you think that she's as innocent as can be?
Oh, absolutely, David. Absolutely. I wouldn't. How dare you?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
I mean, good grief. She was the only one that kept it all together for COVID.
She did.
Wasn't she? The least deaths, the least bog rolls on sale. Well, except for what you've just mentioned.
Yeah, her husband.
And there was always pasta, weren't there? Yeah. So she kept the country running. How dare you? How dare you, young man?
Well, this is the thing. But Jed, when we started doing all this stuff back in 21, I'm sure you remember it like me. She was treated as if she was a latter-day, savior of Scotland by the media. She had the Scots locked down. Yes, Northern Monkey, you had all the two-tier lockdown stuff going on then. And even as this was happening, Jed, her husband was buying her $4,500 Toastmakers, I think it was, or was it a coffee machine? And she never noticed yet. She never know. Let me ask you, Jed, if you arrived home to your wife and you didn't tell her, you just bought about a $6,500 coffee machine, and you put it in the kitchen, do you think she would notice it, or do you think she'd never spot it at all? Just what do you think?
She wouldn't notice, mate. She wouldn't notice the money missing out of the bank account. Oh, see it in the kitchen because what woman would go in the kitchen?
Well, Cranky would, because she's been photographed. If anyone wants to do this for lols, just Google Nicola Sturgeon in the kitchen, and it brings up, Jed, a whole a panoply of images of Nicola Sturgeon in the kitchen, apparently unaware of the fact that just behind her is extraordinarily expensive kitchen equipment. And I think we were getting conflicting views of how much the coffee machine is. But I can tell you, the most expensive coffee machine I've got in here is, I think it's a couple of hundred. Do you know? And that was a few years ago. So I don't even know.
It depends on how much you think I'm worth, David, because I make coffee and, I can make it like a machine, can I can go...
But the monies that this guy was spending, he spent $14,500 on a fountain pen, Jed. Who in 2026 is using a fountain pen?
I know.
Do you know? It was $14,500, the fountain pen. And he spent, I mean, some of the things he bought a onesie. He bought a onesie for himself, evident. I mean, I suspect he may have been mentally unwell. But I mean, the purchases were off the scale.
He wouldn't be married to her.
Well, you could take pity on either party. I mean, but these were the power couple in.
Well, that's Scotland. It, weren't they? And they were supposed to be squeaky clean.
They were.
And we're actually finding out that they weren't.
But it's
what they did to salmon.
But that's we'll get to him. The thing is, let's remember that Peter Morrell was appointed as CEO of SNP in 2001 by a certain Mr. John Swinney, who just happens to be the First Minister of Scotland. Isn't that weird? So he appointed him. And then for all those years, Nippy never paid it. She was unaware of any financial irregularities. The books were signed off each year. She has nothing to do. She didn't bother looking into it or any of that. It is, Chris says, he needed something nice to sign the checks. Yeah, Chris, wouldn't you feel so good, wouldn't you, signing a check with a 14.5 grand fountain pen? But fountain pens went out of fashion about, 1970, 1870, arguably.
Well, unless you started collecting them.
But why? But yeah, but I mean, I just don't know. I generally, but and then Jed, you made the very important point there that let's not forget that Sturgeon pretty much stabbed Alex Salmond in the back to get the leadership in 2014, I think it was. And in actual fact, there's a legal case she will be back in court apparently very imminently, based on the words of a solicitor representing the Salmond family, who have got questions to ask of her. So Northern will I'll make do with my free Parker pen from Sun Life. Yeah, you get those, don't you? Why did they dig up the front garden? As I said, Jed, it's kind of a funny story at one level, but the serious question I'd put to you is: these people tell us, look, we want to run our own country, we want to run Scotland, we don't want the English running Scotland or Westminster, we want to run it. And when you see what they've done, Jed, they're like a banana republic. Do you know what I mean? It's so embarrassing and cringe, and it's corrupt, and it just goes nowhere. And neither does Scotland.
True, it is true, and when a party controls that much power, this is what happens. When family members are involved in the political game together, running a party, this is what happens. It's to be expected that somewhere along the line there would be some corruption somewhere.
Well, it appears that
the SNP have had the grip on Scotland for many a year now, and I cannot fathom out why, with the stage the country's in, why they keep voting for him.
No, I completely agree with you. I said that as much earlier today, Jed. The Crankies are obviously horrible couple, and the way it's all happened, it's horrible and it's extraordinary. But yet, they said, and maybe they put this out there as spin, but apparently they're claiming that donations to the SNP went up last week. Now, that could be spin. Yeah,
Well, they need to recoup the money.
James Jameson says they are the minority, David. It's so mental up here. Yeah, Chris Davey says I've offended every banana republic out there. Well, that's fair enough, actually, Chris. I'll take the bullets on offending banana republics. Problem is that we live in one, but more generally. But yeah, so there you go. Anyway, that was Sturgeon, Jed, and it's too good to not. I mean, especially the fact she did that interview, and as I said at the beginning, I mean, was Prince Andrew her advisor? I was waiting for her to say, "Oh, I couldn't possibly have known anything because I was in a Pizza Express in Woking at the time." It's like because you remember after the he did the interview with, I think it was it Emily Maitlis? I think it was, and after he did it, and it was a disaster. I mean, it's really what done for him. He felt it had gone quite well. And I wondered, does Sturgeon think yesterday, that went, I've cleared the air, everyone is gonna, I wonder, does she think that? Because
probably because power crazy people like that do think they've cleared the air, don't they? When actually all they have done is open up more Pandora's boxes for us all.
Well, yeah, because she's put things on the record there. She did say certain things. But the final thing, just before we move on, is, isn't it fascinating that she's moved to London? She's got herself, I understand, it's an apartment in Knightsbridge.
She hated us. Why is she here?
Exactly. I mean, Jed, we talk about deporting people. isn't it time for you guys to deport Nicola back up to Scotland? Why the hell is she? Although
what she wants to be is at the centre of the political game down here, so she can be a pundit. That's what she's after. She's after being a contributor and a contributor.
Yeah, because she's got a book. I think she had a book out. She was trying to flog a book, and
why does that not surprise me?
And I mean, I suspect there may be other revelations, because during the interview yesterday, at one point, at a slight tangent, they weaved off into her sexuality. Now, I don't want to particularly go there, just for reasons, right? But she brought it up. Laura Kunsberg and her didn't actually say anything definite, but it's almost like we may have a further revelation about Nicola. Would you be surprised, Jed, if we did have a further revelation?
I would, because she's an outstanding lady of good breeding and good stock. I would absolutely be. And she led the most formidable party in Scotland for many years after ousting its previous leader.
I love James Jameson's comment here, guys. It's for her autobiography, Mein Kampf Camper van. Brilliant one, James. That's good. You win the best comment of the night so far. Yeah, it just shows you, though, just how awful some of these politicians are. Well, talking of awful politicians, let's talk about Andy, King of the North, Burnham, because our Andy, he's very active up there in Makerfield. He really wants to get back in, and he's actually got a new logo out. If we can bring up the right one, Jed, which is that with the one with the hand in it, the fist in it. What do you reckon? So he put this out again. This is his campaign logo: Change Labour, Keep the Faith. And it's very,
it's very provocative. It's very Stalinist, isn't it?
Isn't it just?
Yeah.
Which made me, Jed, then do my variation on it.
I've seen your variation. Would you like that to be called, David?
Yeah. So this was what I thought he should do it. Just go the whole bloody way and put the hammer and sickle in it and be done. But the best one that I saw was the next one, Jed. If we bring it up, and this is from a patriot's point of view. I know. How about we change government and keep your country? How about we do that? Because the thing about this, Jed, is, and I'm very aligned with you in this one, I believe it's absolutely critical that Andy Burnham is defeated. I honest to God do. I have no doubt about this at all in Makerfield. If he gets in, then things are going to get tough, because you can see with that clenched fist, that whole, that's an appeal to the left. To the left in his own party. The hard left. The hard left, yeah. And if this guy gets in, there's a lunacy there which is going to make us look back, Jed. I forecast if he gets in, you and I will be talking in about a year's time, talking about the good old days when Keir Starmer was the Prime Minister. And he was just locking some people up, because this guy, he's there's talk about an early election, which I don't know. I'd love it. But he might try to do that on the basis he gets in, Labour gets a bounce in the polls, Jed, when Starmer goes, and then snap general election, and somehow he squeaks back in. Now, I'm not sure about that, because the stats don't really indicate that. Yes, keep the comments going. Chairman Burnham of the People's Republic of Manchester, which is a bit of an S-hole, basically, as we've said before, Jed. Like, it's not that Manchester's been turned into nirvana. A wolf in sheep's clothing is exactly what he is. He's exactly what he is. And I saw a really good comment, Jed, from Rob Kenyon, who's a Reform candidate, in this by-election. Yeah. And he's saying, no, he wants to change Makerfield. That's what he wants to do, whereas Burnham wants to change Labour. And that's everything Rob Kenyon's saying to me is spot on. It's on the money. Whether he's writing it himself doesn't matter. It's all the right stuff that he's saying. Whereas Burnham is actually, Jed, he's like Starmer. He'll say whatever he has to say to get in. And then once he gets in, God help us. So do you agree that it is really important that Burnham be defeated, regardless of his bloody logo. What do you think?
I do, but unfortunately, I think the right are going to split the vote, and he's going to get in. And then we're going to have to deal with them. Now, the thing is, you can clearly see he's not bothered about Makerfield at all.
No, couldn't care less.
No,
yeah.
He couldn't care less. It was just somebody give up his seat, so there would be a by-election. He could run. So then, if he won, because that's how their mindset is, that they're so wrapped up in their own bubble that they think they are the be-all and end-all. So the plan is, if he wins, he takes over Starmer, and then gives this guy who give up his seat. But what does that say to the people that voted for that guy as their local politician? That he doesn't care. He's thinking party rather than as it's always said, party rather than country. Yeah. He's looking after his own party and his own interests, because obviously he's been clearly handed a great job. Yeah. If Burnham gets in, and if Rupert Law wanted to understand politics a little bit better, and I'm not going to get flagged off for this, he'd pull his guy out. Just let Reform win it to stop Burnham getting in.
Well, for me, the big picture here. Oh, thanks again for all the kind comments, Iranian friends. Stick with me. I've got something to say about this before we finish. Chet, you're right. For me, the big picture here is we have to defeat Burnham. That strategy. Now, I understand how strongly the Restore people feel about this, and I've seen some good comments as well. But in reality, there's only two parties can win this seat. One of them is Labour, and the other is Reform. If Reform win it, Burnham's beat. And I've said this consistently, I want Burnham to be beaten, because I worry for us, Jed, if Burnham gets in. I really do. And so it doesn't matter that Restore can turn around and say, we get 7% of the vote or whatever. That's going to be small comfort to the country, I think. Once we have Burnham, and I mean, there's been talk of he was being urged to bring in as Chancellor. Yeah, Louise Hay. Do you remember Louise Hay? Remember the purple-haired one, Jed, that was in the Starmer's cabinet. She's one of the first ones to be sacked. And do you remember?
I can't remember.
She got into trouble over an unfortunate episode about lying to the police. So somebody was suggesting, she'd make a good Chancellor. I mean, but I know whether that's the case or not, I don't know. But at the same time, Rachel Reeves, I see, is trying to put a word in. She's saying to Andy, keep me on. Only I can bring the economic stability, Chad.
The thing is, every time you think about Labour economics, I think of the sketch from Blackadder, when Blackadder's got Baldrick there, and he goes, okay, you have 2 beans, and I give you 2 more beans. How many beans? What does that make? And Baldrick turns around and says, a nice casserole. I think that's the level that Labour are at the moment.
Yeah. Well, I mean, apparently I put out a podcast today on the whole PFI thing. You remember back, Jed, under the last Labour government, with Blair and Gordon Brown, and they came up with this wheeze called the PFI initiative. So they borrowed money to pay for improvements in schools and stuff and they basically were paying back 6 times the amount that they borrowed. I think they borrowed about 8 billion, something like that, and they paid back about 80 billion, and we're still paying it. And Rachel thinks, that sounds like a good idea. So, Jed,
because none of these people are held accountable for what they do.
No,
they really don't. And then if they was held accountable, then they would make better decisions.
Well, they've never worked, Jed. They've never worked in the real world that you worked in and I've worked in. They've never lived in that world. They're all on the public sector payroll. But here's the thing, and we'll just finish this, and then we'll shift on to matters Parisian. But did you see that there was an opinion poll done of public sector workers yesterday, and that's normally full on Labour, and Reform were polling at the same level as Labour, which is a big breakthrough, I think, for reform. So in other words, an awful lot of public sector workers have figured out, yeah, Labour's pretty crap, actually. I think we maybe need to go with reform. I found that a really interesting statistic, if true.
Yeah, I did hear, and I might have misheard as well, but I did hear that also some of the unions are turning to reform.
As well, that's right, yeah.
So it does look, like the Labour days of the working class, because they're no longer a working class party, are now numbered. And the working class just needs somebody to say, hey, I need better pay and better conditions for the job I do.
Well, actually, that's
I have to wear a frock or I have to share a toilet with a...
I know, yeah. Of course. That actually is a nice segue, Jed. There's a screenshot there of, because the Peter Mandelson files came out earlier today. Another thing that happened today.
Is that the text one? Is that the one with the text one?
Yeah.
Right.
Bring it up, Jed. Just going to go through it. So this is Peter Mandelson talking to Pat McFadden. And he says, as you can see, I've spoken to Morgan McSweeney a lot this week. And last night I was in direct contact with him. Keir is not leading from the front and Morgan is not organising the centre as it needs to be. Gordon has it in for Keir and Rachel big time. It's interesting because Gordon has now been appointed as Keir's chief economic guru. He doesn't seriously believe that Angela is an alternative. The bit that's important is the next bit. McFadden says, I don't know what Keir thinks of all of this. He's not spoken to me about any of it. And then Mandelson says, does he even realise the Parliamentary Labour Party is in a mutinous state? And then, Jed, the kicker. This is the kicker. McFadden says, yeah, every meeting I have is, who can we tax in order to pay benefits to others? They're asking the wrong questions. That's it, Jed. It's not the party of the working people. It's the party of the benefit class, isn't it?
That's right.
And that's Pat McFadden. He said that. That's from actually a year ago, May of 2025.
Yeah, because you can buy your voters by saying, look, you can stay at home and I'll give you all this money, give you all these benefits. Yeah, don't worry about your council tax. Don't worry about your Sky TV or anything like that. All that's covered. Your fags, your mobile phones. Yeah. Kids will get everything that they need. You'll have great Christmases. Why? Because the state's paying for it. So they're just buying votes. That's what they're doing. They're buying votes.
Yeah, but they're buying votes with your taxes.
Yeah, no, you're right. In fact, they're buying votes with taxes that they haven't even thought of taking yet.
Not yet. No,
you see what I mean?
Yeah.
Everywhere along the line, all I keep seeing, certainly on Facebook, is Reeves is planning to tax this. Reeves is planning to tax that. Yeah. They're planning to tax your tax-free ISAs. Well, they were tax-free ISAs. You can't then say, I'm sorry, I'm not going to tax them.
Well, they might.
You sold them to us as tax-free.
Yeah, but they need to get more taxes to pay for more benefits.
This is it, because they're stuck on that benefit train. And they're stuck because they didn't stand up to the backbenchers when they first tried to amend it. And they never would. They were never going to stand up.
Yeah, and Jed, this is where, going back to Andy Burnham, and we'll finish now and move on, but, Burnham will be more likely to go further left than even Starmer. So the chances are that they will tax working people and working families even more, so they can give it to the parasite class. That's what Andy Burnham in Downing Street means. So that's why I really do think that Restore need to take a long, hard look at what's happening up in Makerfield. Not that I want to subvert their party, but I'm just saying in that one circumstance, if their vote is the difference, then I think we'll have to do a special program on that one, because that will be delivering us a hard left freak in the form of Andy Burnham into Downing Street. And as I say, we look back and say, oh, okay, he wasn't so bad, was he? He was okay. But anyway, right. I'm not a huge football fan. Not a huge football fan. I'm a Grimsby Town fan. How can I even be a football fan, you might say? But even I knew that on Saturday night, there was a big final, Champions League, European Champions League, I think. And it was between Paris Saint-Germain and Arsenal. And it took place in Budapest, actually. It wasn't in Paris or it wasn't in London. In Budapest. And I actually did watch the end of it. It was a penalty shootout, which is always good fun. It's always lots of laughs, penalty shootout. And in the last penalty, PSG put it away and Arsenal missed. And Chris Davies is giving a shout out to Blackburn Rovers as well. And so PSG won. I think they won it a year ago as well. I'm not sure about that. Fact check me on that one, please. Yes, James, up the mighty Mariners indeed. I'd hoped to get to Wembley, but they were beaten in the playoff finals. Annoyed me no end. And so it's good. So, Jed, you might think to yourself, well, that's okay. So all the PSG fans who were gathered in Paris are going to have a great time, nice, happy time, and everyone's good. Play, Jed, the first video if you can get the one with the Eiffel Tower in the background there.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's Paris. And then, Jed, play the next video.
Is that the one in red or the one?
Yeah, the one.
One load direct.
Traditional French scene, which you can sell. And then, Jed, we've got one final video I think we'll stick up, but we can get it going. You'll get the drift. Okay, you've seen all that. Jed, can we just stick up the screenshot I've got there as well? This is how the French fish. I'll add it.
Right.
Here we go, folks. This is France's Interior Minister, Laurent Nunez, on the riots. He said, there were unacceptable excesses, but no major damage occurred.
Really?
Yeah, I know.
Mainly peaceful, David.
Yeah,
as Paris burnt, it was mainly peaceful.
It was fiery, but mainly peaceful. Yeah, and coming to a town near you and everywhere else. But that was Paris on Saturday night, and what's it? Chris says I've got a phone from that spot with me, and Wi-Fi is. Wife, it's a love spot with the torrent. But yeah, it's the Place de Mars, I think. I know it well, Chris, where the first video was. Yeah. With the Eiffel Tower in the background. Yeah. But and also that was a lot of it was the Champs-Elysees. So, Jed, these were main tourist spots. Champs-Elysees, down to the Eiffel Tower, up around the Arc de Triomphe. I mean, that's where a lot of tourists go. That's why when I was in Paris in November, I didn't go to any of those places. But the point about it is, did anyone notice anything about the people who were mostly peacefully rioting and burning and damaging property? Did anyone notice anything about them? Any characteristic?
I think they look definitely very French.
That's what I thought.
Very Western European.
Yes, exactly.
Stuff.
Yeah. That's. I mean, had they not have striped t-shirts and onions wrapped around their neck?
And a berry on, I wouldn't have known.
They could, yeah. Although then again, as someone said, there was a few shouts of Allahu Akbar, especially down actually as you approach the Eiffel Tower. There's like 4 different entrances into the Eiffel Tower to where the tower is, and I stuck up a video yesterday of one of them where there was a lot of gentlemen, PSG fans, shouting Allahu Akbar as they were basically creating fires. And Paris is twinned with Northern Africa. Well, it is. I mean, look, this is the fact of the matter. Chris says there were doctors, surgeons, accountants, brain surgeons, neurosurgeons. It's a real problem. PSG's ground is in a pretty gritty part of France, of Paris. And I know my son and his wife were there, or actually it was my daughter and her husband were there several years ago during the European football stuff, Jed. And I know that one of the Northern Ireland games were being played at PSG's ground. And they were told by the organisers of the thing, get in and then get out and do not hang around because it ain't safe. And that's the nature of Paris. It's not safe for certain people, Jed, like you and myself, I think, and possibly Paris. Only Republican Roger says is Paris burning. Well, it's been burning for years. I mean, I put up a tweet on yesterday, which got about 750,000 views before I was fact checked, and I was told, "Oh, but that happened in 2022." Yeah, that's my point, Jed. For many years now, and we all remember the Bataclan and all of that. Paris isn't safe. That's my point, actually.
I don't think it's just Paris that's not safe, though, David. The Western Hemisphere isn't safe.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. Yeah.
It is. We are. It's. I at times I'm lost for words. Our politicians have done this to us. I know it's not like me. Our politicians have done this to us, David.
But actually, Jed, that was in Paris, right? And that was PSG fans. But I also saw video footage in London yesterday of the Arsenal fans who were celebrating the fact that even though they lost that final, they'd won the the Premiership, and that they had like a celebration, so-called. And actually, Jed, to be honest, there was a lot of violence in that. In some regards, the fans looked very similar, and you just think, what the hell is happening? Republican Rocker says, a seedy character during my honeymoon in Paris back in 2007 attempted to steal my wife's purse. Did you stop her? That's the main thing. I hope you stopped
this one here, David. I don't know whether this is in the UK. So just let me.
Oh yeah.
This is from Andy Noor. Okay, so I bring this up. So this is in the UK because it's British police there.
London, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at that. Look at this debris. Look at that.
But so you're right, there's some sort of connection there, isn't there, Luke?
There's something, Jed, that seems to unite them. I wonder what it is. They're all Cockneys, obviously.
Born and bred, Bow Bells.
Born and bred, you can see that. Born and bred Cockneys. And I think Andy knows.
I think I see the spoons and the buttons. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where all the spoons are, on those steps.
They're on. Yeah, that's where they're.
There's so many that it just looks like litter. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there was Paris on Saturday, and there was London yesterday, and I gotta say, there's an issue there, and some people would put it as as tough as this. When you import the third world, you become the third world. And parts of Paris are now third world. And parts of London are third world as well. And, they try to silence us in this and tell us we mustn't say this because it's racist. But how else how do you describe that behavior? We saw the running riots in Paris. And last year, because I believe PSG did win it last year, or whatever, and it was the same, Jed. It was the same bloody thing happened. They celebrate by wrecking and if you've been up the Champs-Elysees, that's where all the design. I'm sure Chris Davies will be well aware of this, Chris. All the designer shit.
Well, yeah, it's where Chris would shop, isn't it?
It's the only place Chris goes. He insists. But they were wrecking the big designer shops as well. So James makes the interesting point. I started supporting Arsenal in the 80s. It was the most traditional English club. And I agree, James, as everything was, it was only when the Premier League and the monies came in and all of that English football changed out of all recognition, literally out of recognition. When you look at the teams now, some of the teams, But and I think that's deliberate. You know, I think one way to get us all
David, you're literally talking about importing, you know, foreign cultures. This is what we've imported. Just let me make sure it's at the beginning. Now I can pause it so we get the full effect. All right, pause. There we go. Right, it's a little bit different on my other screen, and this is literally what you're talking about. This is what we've imported.
Yeah.
You know, before it used to be old housewives throwing mop bucket water at each other, but now it's people flinging swords around and machetes.
Yep.
That's what we've imported, and you're absolutely right. If we import the third world, which we have done, don't expect your first world to stay first world, because it won't. You cannot keep importing third world and expect your first world to stay as it is. It just simply won't. It will always degenerate. The only reason we are first world is because we've gone through that barbarism that we've just witnessed.
But Jed, none of us
years ago.
None of us voted for that. None of us voted for that. No. You know, it's been imposed upon us by a scumbag political class. That's why we need to change the government once and for all. Get rid of Tories, get rid of Labour. That's what we have to do. Northern Monkey says, is that a ceremonial sword? Yeah. Well, maybe I could be allowed to carry, I don't know, ceremonial revolver. I mean, could I be allowed to do that? I'm glad to see, and as I say, this was all happening before Jed and I came on air. Henry Novak, you know, the trial, the result. Yeah, here's more rocket of.
There's a couple of
brain surgeons. I see them
for the next is it Azimuth or whatever it is space mission. I can see that they'll be on the launch pad before you know it.
Chris Davies, I'll take you up on that offer, Chris. That's one place I did go, the Ritz in Paris. I did go there when I was there in November. It's a nice spot. Very nice spot there. I didn't notice a lot of diversity just in that area. That's the problem. But Jed, it's maybe like many. I mean, is this?
We're taking the knee for him, was he?
No taking the knee for Henry. Young 19-year-old lad just stabbed to death. But the worst bit, Jed, was he bled out on the ground, and the police. And when he said, "I can't breathe," I think the police officer, we need the body cam footage. The body cam, I think the police officer said, I don't think so, mate. Imagine that.
I'm not sure if you put an AI generated, I'm scrolling through your timeline while you're talking.
So like, well, the thing is, like, Stormer's only commented about it in the last 2 hours. He never stopped talking about, he took a knee for George bloody Floyd. This young lad, imagine, Jed, the way I look upon it is, imagine if it was your son or my son, you know, stabbed multiple times, bleeding out, and your son says to the police officer, "I can't breathe." And the police officer goes, "I don't think so, mate." And anyway, apparently they checked his phone, Jed. Get this. Yeah. They checked Henry Novak's phone after he died to see was there anything racist on it. I'm sorry. You know, like, if
this is what the infection has done. They literally are infected by the woke mind virus, aren't they? That much that they cannot see what the rest of us see. You know, and until, as the guy said back in 70s, 80s, the Russian defector. Those useful idiots will not know they're useful idiots until the jackboot is on the back of their neck.
Yeah, I was absolutely right. Yeah. But I mean, in the meantime, this young man has lost his life, his family. I saw the footage just outside the court after the verdict had been, you know, announced. But like, they were broken, and understandably, their son had been murdered. And you know, it's truly horrible.
It wasn't just murdered. He wasn't just murdered. He was let down by the state who was there to protect him. There was no duty of care to him.
None.
There was no ascertaining of the facts in the case. It was just a question of this guy's one color and this guy's the other color, so it must be true.
Well, yeah. The white guy must be guilty, even though he's the one that's been stabbed. He's the one with the blood pouring.
Well, he must have provoked it, of course, David.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm being facetious, though, everybody.
Of course, yeah, we know, of course, yeah, we all know that. So, John Daniel says here, for a long time there were some dodgy areas, but now you have to hunt out the safe areas. Thinking about it, nowhere is safe in London. And Jed, that was a feeling I got even when we did our shows down in London there a year or two back. I never really felt comfortable in London, if you know what I mean.
I just wanted to get from the hotel to the venue and then back again.
Exactly, yeah. And I think that's just...
Or at least being a crowd, like we were when, we went with Chris and had something to eat.
Yeah. Well, I think if you have Chris Davies providing security, Jed, you're probably going to be okay. But regardless of which, anyway, I just wanted to finish. I wanted to sort of finish out. I don't know, Jed, if you check out my X, there's just for the Iranians that may be watching.
Yeah, I was down there just then.
There's a couple of things. Trump continues to really, really annoy me. Sorry, American friends, but he's absolutely lost the run of himself. So apparently, anyway, the Iranians have said today, yeah, listen, the talks are off. We're not doing any more talking to you. Meanwhile, Trump's pushing out. You'll see it in my last few sort of ones of the day, Jed, today. Trump's putting out stuff about he's still talking to them, some good people in the regime, and hopefully we're going to get a great deal for everybody concerned. And this is the point I've been beaten to death now for ages. I actually feel that Trump, and I'm a big Trump supporter, but on this one, no one's going to convince me other than that. Yeah, here he is saying that he's giving...
I didn't say that. I said that. Well, I wouldn't have to. I didn't say that. I said that if we left right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild. But we're not leaving right now. We're going to do it so nobody has to go back in 2 years or 5 years.
You also said last night that
they told me about the concept of the deal. They're going to give me the exact wording now. Yeah.
Last night you also said that only like 85% of Iran's missile-making capabilities has been eliminated.
Correct.
Is that other 15% important? Does the United States need to eliminate that?
Well, I'd like to eliminate it. Yeah, I'd like to. It'd be a start for them to build up again. And yeah, I would like to eliminate it.
Sir, under what circumstances would you restart military strikes on targets?
Well, I don't want to say that. I mean, I can't tell that to a reporter. If they misbehave, if they do something bad, but right now, we'll see. But it's a possibility that could happen, certainly.
So Trump continually gives them endless jetty, continually gives them, here's a new deadline, not 24 hours. And then, and they just laugh at him. I mean, they actually sent rockets into, I think it was Kuwait. And actually quite a few US bases in the region have been hit, more so than America said, because I've seen some of the footage of, the American bases, Jed, in these places. Yeah. This thing's farcical. And I've been calling from day one, no negotiation, end the regime, take them down. You cannot deal with these murderers. If the hangings are happening every day, and Trump's talking about this, yes, Chris Davies, I mean, at this point, Trump is not behaving as I thought he was going to do. And so I support him in other things, but I can't support him in this, Jet. I really cannot. I think it's just beyond words. Why does he want to do a deal with essentially a Nazi regime? That's what he's trying to do a deal with. And
no, you're right. And to be honest, I thought maybe they thought it would be over within a few hours or a few days, and because it wasn't, I think then it became harder for the powers that be in the US to justify what Trump was doing. But he gave that wording, didn't he, to the Iranian people? Come out on the streets, we will be there for you. And he's not. He's actually bringing them out on the street and slaughtering them because there is no support.
The internet came back there, was sort of mostly restored to Iran, and we talked about this last week, if you remember, Jed, on the live show on Thursday. And we've seen loads and loads of I saw stuff at the time. I've seen more stuff, and like there was maybe hundreds of thousands of Iranians took to the street, but 45,000 of them lost their lives. They were mown down by the regime. Trump told them to go to the streets. Trump said, Jed, you're dead right, unconditional surrender. Which bit of unconditional surrender does President Trump not understand? That's my problem, Jed. You know, I agree with unconditional surrender, so just do it. Stop this endless. Chris Davies is right. It could have been over, certainly, Chris, in a couple of weeks. Day one was spectacular, thanks to Israel. They took out the Ayatollah, they took out the senior command levels. And after that, it was pretty good. But then it kind of, if it was a football match, Jed, it kind of became a draw. You know what I mean? Played till a draw.
Yeah, it did. Because he wasn't decisive enough to start with. This is why it's dragged on. I'll try and make that a bit bigger so it's easier to read.
So this is him. Yeah, an Iran deal is very close. Oh, please spare me the very close. I'm bored senseless with your very close deal. You know, plus apparently one of the guys that he's been negotiating with, he's had to step down because the IRGC say, no, we call the shots. So the whole thing's a mess. It's a mess. So just to settle, Iranian friends, I'm conscious of time here. Just to say that, look, we still stand with you, and we know, I know exactly what the score is, and Trump's got this one calamitously wrong, and I say that with deep regret, and I don't understand why America has chosen the way to do what it's doing, but we'll talk more about it. So look, I think that's just more or less sort of rounded up a lot of stuff, a lot of news there, really, in the space of an hour, and I don't know if Trump's taking the guitar money. Talking of which, how's Tucker Carlson and Megyn Kelly? How are they doing these days, eh? Tucker, Megyn, Alex Jones, all those great members of the pundit class, Podcastistan, is that what they call them? I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. I Chris Davies, I'm still waiting for the guitar money. I'm often accused of being, you know, a Russian shill or an Israeli shill or Mossad shill. I ain't got a penny from them. So, I mean, I'm the worst shill ever if that's the case. But any which way.
Well, or you're free.
Or I'm just, yeah, well, I'm not that cheap, Jed. You see, that's the thing. Chris Davies can testify I have expensive taste. But none of it's coming my way anyway. Unless, of course, it's a good point, this. If you do want to support me, as some of you do, there's a link below. Click the button, buy me a coffee or whatever you want. And that helps keep this going. So, look, that's it. I'll cover more about the whole Peter Mandelson file stuff tomorrow. And more significantly, the rape gang inquiry as well. And yes, Republican rocker, we'll keep the faith. And as I say, I mean, I do support Trump in the main. But on one issue, you know, and look, I get things wrong. I get things wrong. Chris Davies claims I've got the rubles. How dare you say that, Chris Davies? Banned for life. So look, Jed, thanks very much for being here. Thanks for running all those multiple videos I stuck up tonight. Maybe too many, but Nicola Sturgeon was just you can't miss the opportunity to finally when someone like Nicola's down in the dirt, Jed, I want to kick her even harder, you know? That's how I am in these ones. So, look, thank you all on the different platforms. And thanks everyone who, of course, watches this in replay as well. And yes, I do like a Long Island tea, Chris Davies. I like many of the fine things in life, such as we're allowed to have them, including the opportunity to talk to you guys tonight. So from Jed and myself, I'll wish you all a good night. Catch you tomorrow morning. Don't forget, there's stuff on Substack, there's stuff on the podcast channel, and then there's the social media stuff as well. And even Facebook, by the way, where I've just discovered my account. I've done some Facebook stuff, you know, in recent weeks. I've got millions of views. And then, Jed, to my absolute amazement, they've limited my reach. So I'm a bad boy on Facebook, which is a complete.
Didn't take long then, did it?
Didn't take long. Nah, I know. I mean, yeah. Someone said to me with Facebook, the thing is, you have to learn a different language so they don't get you. And I do understand what that means, you know. But life's too short to be having.
Is Adrian on Facebook? You may be able to get tips off him if he's still on it.
Adrian's been banned. I think he may have been watching.
I know he's banned on X. Is he banned on Facebook too?
Well, Adrian is, but someone very close to Adrian, I think, was on this stream earlier, Jed. So, yeah, I'll have to take tips from Adrian how not to get banned. I'm very bad at it. So, look, folks, that's it from Jed and myself. See you all tomorrow from the two of us, and thank you all for your support tonight, and see you soon. Good night.